Warning, this podcast contains theories for Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness, as well as some plot points from various comic book runs. Check the show notes to see which ones that we potentially spoil for you. If you don't want to be spoiled by any of that stuff, read the stuff, watch the stuff first, then come back. We're stepping out of the airlock and into the comics corner with our good friend Cody Ziglar.
Yeah, baby.
Please pick up Cody Ziglar, Justin Mason, and Jim Charalin-Pittis' SpiderPunk #1 wherever you can find it because it's sold out many places. Super fun. Cody, thank you for joining us.
Of course.
And it's time to talk comics, man.
Yes.
Let's talk about it. First of all, how have you been? What have you been up to?
Dude, I've been great. I've been so incredibly busy, as I'm sure you can tell from my social media posts. I'm good. I'm currently about to finish this season of Futurama, and I'm almost about to finish issue 5 of SpiderPunk.
Baby.
That's right. So as soon as I get through this little bit of Elden Ring, I'm going to go to my computer and finish this last issue, baby. That's what's on my docket.
We got to know, where are you in the ring right now? What's going on with where are you in the mission? Are you Elden Lord yet?
I am not, but I have dethroned Margot the Fell King.
Get
so
him out of
he's out of there. So
gone.
Next I gotta go find a giant in the snow. I don't know. Everyone is whipping my ass right now, so I think I'm gonna have to do some grinding to get to the mountain.
The giant, no spoilers, that is a fight.
Oh boy.
and it's one of the fights where you're fighting the guy and you're like, man, I feel bad about having to kill this guy. But then you feel less bad because he just like whoops your ass so much. Anyway,
great.
That's a fun fight. Enjoy that.
Oh, thank you.
Let's get into the comics then. Let's dive into stuff that we think might be useful for people to talk about, to read as Doctor Strange approaches. First one on this list, which Rosie and I were talking about, I wonder if you've read it, Zig, is Doctor Strange, Doctor Doom, Triumph and Torment, written by Roger Stern with pencils and covers by Mike Mignola and Mark Badger. And it's like, what? Mike Mignola doing Doctor Strange and Doctor Doom? I love it. And it's a great one-shot story that really lets you into how thirsty Doctor Doom is for magic, man.
He loves magic.
He loves tempting it.
He loves tempting the magic.
Habitual line stepper.
He loves going over the line with, like, if you thought Doctor Strange pushed it with the spells, with the crossing the line, with the like books he shouldn't read, but he's going to go ahead and read them because he needs to do. Doctor Doom is even more that. And, you know, Mignola is Mignola. It's super fun. Mephisto is there. That would be my first recommendation for something that is like easy to pick up. You don't need to know a lot if you wanted to pick it up and read it. Any of y'all have any recommendations along those lines?
I've got one, but another thing I think is really good about that piece is like it really specifically centers on like Doctor Doom's mum, which is like a weird thing they were obsessed with in the 80s and 90s because in some of the Moon Knight stuff where shock horror Doctor Doom appears, it's all to do with his mum. Like this guy has mother issues and they were being explored. So who knows, is that going to come into it in the MCU? I don't know, but it seems interesting and connected. So I first of all as well, I always think it's so funny when you, even as people who've been reading these comics however long, like decades or whatever, whenever we find a Mike Mignola Big 2 comic, you're like, oh my God.
Yeah.
You're like,
so great.
He drew Batman?
He did Batman? Yeah, like, okay, pick it up.
Add to cart, bye.
Right?
Yeah.
It's like, it's happening. But I'm going to go newer.
Yeah.
I kind of read like the first issue of this series, The Death of Doctor Strange, but I recently read the whole thing. The 5-issue collection is out now. Jed MacKay, pencils by Lee Garbett. Kari Andrews does great covers. This is like such a fun book.
Yeah, it was really
the
fun.
idea is like Doctor Strange is gonna die, he gets killed, who did it, and he gets to kind of like, we have to work out what happened, and it's timey-wimey, but the art is like so
it's beautiful,
cartoony and beautiful and fun, and there's like cute animal characters, and I feel like, you know, Zig, no comment from you here. inside business, yeah. But I feel like one of my favorite things to talk about is how Marvel seeds stuff in the comics.
It felt very seedy.
They want people to necessarily conceptualize or come to terms with or become familiar with. And this feels like one of those comics where I'm like, one, it's a fun superhero romp, but two, have a read. Yeah. See how it might impact Doctor Strange too. You might be happy.
Yeah, I definitely feel that same way. Whether or not that's what the book that I'm currently writing, I think that's also the same energy.
Right?
Yeah. And also, Jed's a fantastic writer.
This book is so fun.
Yeah, he's such a fucking fun writer.
We should add I think one of the things that really felt like, oh, we're seeding this is, so part of this is not a spoiler, but, Doctor Strange is murdered. Who did it? And, of course, Doctor Strange had a protocol in place should he die by mysterious means. And that protocol is to activate an earlier, much more aggressive, much more line-steppy version of himself, pluck that version out of whatever timeline it's in and bring them to the present to figure it out.
Yeah, to do a Sherlocky-esque experience. So let's just say, it seems like could be influential.
Yeah, I feel that it could be. Zig, you have anything?
I was really torn, but I think I'm going to go with Hickman's New Avengers run. Time runs out. I mean, I think anyone could tell from the trailers that the Illuminati is going to be in this, and the Illuminati is such a big part of Doctor Strange's current origin, or at least his modern, the last 10 years origin. And if you're really looking for just a really fun 4-issue run, or 5-issue run to jump in, I think it's 16 through 21 of Hickman's New Avengers. It introduces one of my absolute favorite characters, Sun God. He's just a Superman pastiche. There's a fantastic fight between him and Hulk that when I read it when I was 27 was the hypest shit I ever read. At 27, I was turning up. I was quoting it. I had the pictures on my Tumblr, I was scanning them on there. It's a really great entry for that. And I'm just from the trailer, I'm assuming they're going to be doing some fun Illuminati underhandedness, and I hope that they get some fun big action fight scenes like that in there.
And I think it makes a lot of sense because it leads into one of the things that we talk about a lot, which is Secret Wars, and how that seems like the future of the MCU, and there's Doctor Doom elements, God Emperor Doom, all that kind of stuff. So I think that's a brilliant pick, and also just fun.
One of my favorite parts of that Time Runs Out run is the war between Atlantis and Wakanda, which feels like
seedy.
Feels like something you need to pay attention to. And that was a thing that absolutely grabbed me by the collar when I was reading it. I was like, oh, some of the twists and turns in that ongoing struggle are man, you can't believe what happens. Great run. I will pick House of M for mine, the 2005 limited series. Brian Michael Bendis, pencils by the great Oliver Coipel, covers by the great Esad Ribic, and 8 core issues. You can stick to those, but there are lots of tie-ins that spread out, across different titles. But the basic plot is Wanda is just so heartsick over the struggles that mutants have had to go through over the generations and the years, and them being oppressed and through fits and starts, all the attempted genocides that have happened over the course of time. And she's like, forget it. That's enough. I want to please my mutant family, Magneto and Quicksilver, and I want to heal mutantdom, and so I'm going to create a world in which mutants reign. Mutants are the main force in the world, and there are non-powered people, but they're a vast minority, and mutants run the world. And I feel like this is going to be, we've talked about it before on this pod, but
there's a reason it comes up a lot.
There's a reason it comes up a lot, right? And it feels like, listen, we're waiting for mutants to come into the MCU. Wanda is growing more and more powerful with the ability, as we have seen over the course of WandaVision, to alter reality in really drastic ways. And we know that at least some part of Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness involves Strange going to a place where other powered people exist, which is how we get America Chavez. And we also know that man, you hear the voice of Patrick Stewart in that fucking trailer.
We should tell him the truth.
So
Someone somewhere exists. And
he's like,
X-Men exists.
he was basically saying you mix it with magic, isn't it? Like it's really hard. You could not distinguish. Like there's no hiding who that was.
And so it's a really, really fun story. Highly recommend it. My guy Wolverine, again, if you're a Wolverine head, he makes some things happen in this.
He's doing some stuff.
He's doing some stuff in this.
That man has a memory. He always does.
It's like, listen, when it's just like normal life, he can't remember anything about what he used to do. But when he gets transported to another like timeline or dimension, all of a sudden he can't forget what happened in the previous world. Anyway. And Rosie, do you have anything else?
Yeah, I got one more, but I also just want to say, like, this leads to my favorite theory that it like pops up every so often on Reddit. I've seen it on TikTok, which is the MCU as it exists is the No More Mutants universe. Post Wanda creating the House of M. I love that. It's never going to happen, but every time I think about it, I am just like, that is so efficient. And it is so effective. And, I think the trailer where we see Charles and everyone, and he says, it's time to tell him the truth. Everyone's like, the truth is, mutants exist outside this world. And I think House of M, like, there's so much good stuff there because people get to live their dream lives. Like, Peter is happy. Yeah. And then you have this choice of, like, having to give it up. I think another really good one, which is really new, is Captain Carter. Jamie Mckelvie, icon.
Yes.
Can't
go wrong with
Marika,
Jamie
Cresta,
Mckelvie.
Newer artist on that, doing some really dynamic stuff. And if you enjoyed the first episode of What if you want to know more about Captain Carter, who we think is probably going to show up in Doctor Strange 2, then this is a great place to go. It's got political intrigue. It's got anti-fascist tendencies. It's got really, 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 really cool character work for Captain Carter. It introduces a different version of Peggy that we've never seen. And I think this is, again, seeding. Do I think they're going to adapt Jamie's story? I wish they would. Probably not going to happen. But is there a reason that there's a Captain Carter comic that you can buy right now that's going to be out during Doctor Strange 2? I believe so. So yeah, this is a really good one.
Zig?
Last one, I'm glad that no one else covered it, but Marvel Zombies was it was honestly between this and World War Hulk is what got me into Marvel Comics proper. Like I was obviously I was a huge Walking Dead fan. I was a huge horror fan in general, but Marvel Zombies, I mean they've already done the What If episode, and I feel like it seems such a fun universe for Marvel to tap into in the live action space. Like it would be crazy if you don't just see like zombie Wanda for like a split second. Like Marvel, Strange does his gang signs and you see her pop up in the back corner or whatever.
We see it zombie-ish, like Strange, and this is Sam Raimi. This is the king of zombies, my friend.
King of
that's a run. That's a killer run.
Absolutely love these recs. Hope they are helpful to people. Check out the show notes for any of the stuff that you missed through the run of the show. We'll have everything listed there. Which X-Men characters would make you scream the most if they showed up? Oh my God. Do you want to, y'all answer first, then I will think of one. Gosh, all of them really, but like, yeah.
I think about this question a lot. I'm always like, how will it happen? Wolverine, obviously. Jean Grey. I think mine would be Storm. Yeah, and the truth is, I think she is the most likely X-Men to turn up first in the MCU.
I agree with everybody that you said. I'll switch it up a little bit by saying, like, yes, Wolverine, but also X23 Laura Wolverine. I would love to see her. But like, listen, it doesn't make any sense. But if I saw my gal Jubilation Lee, in the patent leather yellow raincoat running around with the Oakleys,
bring back Lana Condor.
I would be extremely thrilled. Zig, what about you?
We got a light tease, but I would love an MCU actual Quicksilver, like Quicksilver with the speedster powers they use for Old Girl in the Eternals. Like I'm a sucker for speedsters, and like I would love to see like a true speedster fight in the MCU. We haven't had one of those yet.
Okay, I'm going to ask this one even though it's ridiculous because it's funny and there's a fun factoid attached to it. Moon Knight versus Thor, who wins? Thor. But
my
Thor,
skin's crawling.
There is a ridiculous fight that happens in what is it? The Jason Aaron, this is like six issues back now, right?
Yeah.
In the Jason Aaron Avengers run where Moon Knight solos the Avengers. I'm not going to spoil how and Thor is involved in that beatdown. I'm not going to spoil how it happens in case you want to read it, but it is now canonical that Moon Knight can solo the Avengers.
Scandalous
love
stuff.
books, baby.
love that. I mean, listen, Squirrel Girl's still undefeated.
Unbeatable.
Unbeatable. What is the multiverse? Okay, Zig and or Rosie, would you like to answer what is the multiverse?
I'd say the multiverse is my artsy answer is literally a blank check to write whatever you want to within the confines of either DC or Marvel, and sometimes both of them together. That's really what the answer is. But also, it's really anything that happens in the Marvel universe or universes. It's a place where that can happen. So if you want to have a world where everyone's a spider person, like literally like Spider-Ham, that can happen. You want to have a world where everyone's an ape, as in Marvel apes, that can happen. If you're to have one where Peter gets bit on his left hand instead of his right hand, that can happen.
We have some theories that we have talked about on this podcast about who the possible villain could be. And here's our number one. Here's our headline theory about who the villain could possibly be, even though the trailers seem to suggest that it is Wanda, or at least the dark version of Wanda that she splits off from herself at the end of WandaVision. I and Rosie have put forth the theory that the actual big bad could possibly be the classic Doctor Strange villain Nightmare, the ruler of the nightmare dimension, who draws his power from the nightmares of human beings as they sleep at night. He plucks those nightmares out and becomes more and more powerful. Rosie, lay out some of the reasons why we think this is the case.
Okay, so this has definitely been seeded in certain things that we've seen recently. The recent trailers for Doctor Strange have seen Wanda and Strange both say,
Every night, I dream the same dream.
In Moon Knight, he begins by saying,
I can't tell the difference between my waking life and dreams.
There is this notion of dream space and dream world being incredibly powerful and being something that may be able to manipulate you and control you. And the nightmare verse that Nightmare rules over, that can be that. And also, we know that Wanda is seeking out her children. We know that Stephen is seeking out something to do with Christine, likely based on what we saw in What If. So it would be very easy for a demonic entity to use their wants to manipulate them in a space. And it's a multiverse, so maybe a nightmare world is one of the spaces of the multiverse. But we think Nightmare could be a good bet.
Yeah, a good bet. It's a good long shot bet because, of course, listen, Mordo, another classic Doctor Strange villain, Shumagorath. They're all in this movie. We know it. But listen, keep an eye out for Nightmare. A big thank you to Rosie Knight and Cody Ziglar for joining us on X-Ray. Zig, what do you got to plug, my guy? Tell us everything.
If you're a fan of comic books, which I think you are if you're listening to this podcast, check out, a SpiderPunk number 1. Woo! There we go, baby. Number 2, I think, comes out the 18th of May. Don't quote me on that. Unless it's true, then quote me all you want to. And I believe What If Miles Morales number 5 comes out May 2, but I may be wrong.
Let's go.
But if not, check them all out because they're all fucking fantastic. Like, I just read What If Miles was Thor, and it is the coolest shit I've ever read.
It is really fun.
Shout out to that, right? It's the dopest, blackest shit I've ever seen. You got to check that out. It's so fucking clean.
Rosie, plugs. What are you plugging? Plug Godzilla again. Just plug it again.
I'm going to plug Godzilla again, but first I will plug SpiderPunk. Like, when I read that
it's
issue,
so fun. It's super fun.
I yelled. Like, one, it's amazing. It's brilliant. Justin's art. Oh my God, Jim's letters. I was dying. Cody's writing. It's fantastic. That is like one of the best number ones I've read in such a long time.
Thank you, man.
Same. I agree.
And if you are of a certain age, you're a millennial or whatever they call us. You grew up in the zeros. You were dancing to a Misfits song in a dive bar. You have some questionable tattoos. You will be screaming. This is a true punk book on every level. I love it. I tell everyone to read it. It's so good. And Jim's lettering is like, I can't get over it. It's some
so
of the best modern comic book lettering, and it adds so much. The final page Splash.
That's what I was gonna say. That's what I was gonna say. That's what I was gonna say. That final page hook, that tease on the final page, the final splash page is like, oh
I'm
shit!
like,
I guess I'm adding this to
Who wants to give me the full like back piece tattoo of that final thing with the letters and the
Oh
quotes?
man,
So good.
highest
It's
praise.
really, really good.
So yes,
It's really good.
Spider-Man is very good. Obviously, what if Miles Morales? Miles Morales should be every character. So I 100%
Exactly.
back that.
Thank you.
Yeah, Godzilla. It's pre-orderable now. It should be coming out in August. So that's the nature of comics. You pre-order them now. It will be in your shop then. We will likely be doing some cool signings and stuff like that. So keep an ear out for that stuff. You can find me on Instagram. That's where I am. And just doing this, writing about comics, writing about TV shows, and just talking about all this cool stuff. It's a good life. I can't complain.